chair. So really yeah. For the season play.
Minutes of action, and you know the Dolphins.
A modest 2-game making the appearance right here on their home floor.
Yeah, they've been riding a great season. They won their Centennial Conference. They beat Dickinson, a team that they had lost to earlier in the season. They've had a couple of tough losses, Mike. Sometimes when their shooting is off, they've really suffered. But the bottom line is this is a very good team. They're a deep team. There's no real one superstar on the team. They shoot a lot of three-pointers. They're very good from behind the arc. When they're hitting their three-point shots, they are almost unbeatable. But so the Dolphins are really going to have to contest the perimeter, and then basically go from there. Try to limit what they can do inside as well.
Yeah, and this is a pretty deep team as well, Dave. They come into tonight's game averaging just over 75 points a game, but just two players averaging double digits here for the Garnets. It's Cam Wiley, who leads the team in scoring at 18.5 points a game, and then Zach Yonda coming in at just over 13 points a game. But a lot of balance on this team, Dave. They're a team that out-rebounds their opponents by an average of 13 rebounds a game, allowing under 30 rebounds per game. And they also shoot 45%, Dave, from the floor, while at the same time only allowing their opponents to shoot 38%.
Yeah, and, both of these teams win with good defense too, Mike. I mean, sometimes, with all the stats that go back and forth, we forget about the fact that these two teams defensively are just so awful good. When the Dolphins are playing at their best, they're playing great defense, and it's the same thing with Swarthmore College. They like to limit teams. In their championship run in the conference, they played very well defensively. This is a team that obviously, when they're clicking on all heels, they can really limit what you could do offensively, and that's how they win games.
Yeah, and Dave, the Dolphins coming in and really maintaining their very high level of play. This is a team, Dave, that has not lost since the Tournament of Heroes championship game against Middlebury College, and that was way back in 2016. And Middlebury comes into this tournament ranked in the top 10, and I believe they're one of the home sites as well, Dave. So the Dolphins coming in with a great deal of confidence and really ready to roll.
Yeah, you know what, and they should, Mike. They deserve that. They deserve the fact that, to feel confident coming in. They haven't lost in 2017, like you mentioned. They're on a big winning streak. They've been here before, Mike. Not necessarily in this building, but at this stage before. At least head coach Tony Petoza has. So he knows how to prepare his team. And, Mike, you know what? We're biased. We're a CSI broadcast. But I'll say it, and I've said it for years. Division I, Division II, Division III, I don't care. I would take Tony Petoza any day over any coach you would give me at any time. He can break down a team. He knows what teams do well. He puts his players in positions to succeed at all times. And I know for a fact, win or lose, the Dolphins will be prepared tonight, and they'll know their opponents, and they'll be ready to play.
Yeah, and Coach Petoza, of course, picking up another 20-win season this year. Of course, the all-time leading wins in games here at the College of Staten Island. And, for the College of Staten Island here tonight, Dave, an opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013.
Yeah, you know what? It's a thrill. It really is. And it's something that all these guys dream about. There's 449 teams in NCAA Division III. Only 64 get to come here, Mike. After tonight, there'll only be 32 left as well. So, there's a lot of great teams that are going to be eliminated here on the first night. The Dolphins are hoping to keep their dream alive one more night and go into tomorrow night's game against Christopher Newport.
Yeah, and we should mention, Dave, after one quarter, the women's team actually down playing at Christopher Newport here in their opening round of the NCAA tournament, down 26-10. So a little bit of a slow start for the women, Dave, but a fantastic year for them to pick up their first Kudiak championship since 2005 and get into the NCAA tournament as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I mean, that's what they dream for as well, and they're going to continue to battle hard against CNU. We know that much for sure. CNU ranked 7th in the country as of the last bracket that came out, the last ranking that came out by D3 Hoops. So, they knew that they were going to be up against it, but you know what? The Dolphins, one of the things we know about the women's team, they always battle to the end. Same thing with these CSI men's team, Mike. This is a team that will continue to battle till the final whistle.
And, Dave, in these one-and-done games, you never know what's going to happen, who's going to get into early foul trouble, who's going to have the hot hand shooting. But, you know, one thing we do know is that if Eden Brocic can come out hot and hit his outside shots, the offense of the Dolphins improves dramatically.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. You know, there's no question that when Eden is on his game, he's one of the team's best three-point shooters. The Dolphins don't shoot a tremendous amount of three-pointers, Mike, but when they do and when they're on, they can be very deadly. So the Dolphins know that that's going to be a key coming into tonight. We'll see if they can, come out and start playing well immediately out of the gate. And the Dolphins will be looking for a win here on the opposing turf.
And, you know, Dave, as we're about ready to get going here tonight, you know, for a couple of these Dolphins, especially Frankie Scittino, Khalid Baum, and Vinny DeCunto here playing in their seniors, here as seniors, you know they're going to come out and leave it all out on the floor here tonight.
Without question, Mike, this is the last hurrah for a lot of these seniors on both sides of the court. And, of course, both want to go home and, relish a win and come back tomorrow night on this same court.
So we're about ready to get underway as Kevon Murphy will jump against Robbie Walsh, and the Garnets control the opening tip. Wiley with the basketball as Brocic comes out guarding him. He feeds the ball up over to Yoda. Yoda working the ball back up over to Wiley as now they look to get the ball inside to Walsh. Walsh looking to use his size inside, and his baby hook is up and in. So Walsh gets the first basket of the game, and the Garnets lead by a score of 2-0. Brocic feeds it over to Baum. Baum out on the baseline will now work it over to Brocic, and now Scittino will get his first touch of the ball offensively. As Scittino pulls up, his jumper is no good. Walsh is there to grab the rebound and hand the ball off to Wiley.
Yeah, if you're the Dolphins, you'd like to spread it around a little bit more there on that possession. That ball did not get around to enough players before Frank shot it.
So now Walsh out of the perimeter, feeding it up over to Liebrick. Liebrick looking to drive across the lane. He stops. His short jumper in the lane is up, no good. But there to grab the offensive rebound is Bourne for the Garnets, as Bourne drives right back up inside and lays it up and in. So a couple of baskets inside the paint, Dave, early here for the Garnets.
And Mike, Swarthmore, number one in the nation in rebounds. They're a plus 13 per game. They get that one via a second chance opportunity.
As Scittino's pass looking for Rossiter, throws the ball away, so the Dolphins turn the ball over. So a very good start here for the Garnets early in the first half.
Yeah, the Dolphins have only had one shot. It was a low percentage one for Scittino. Meanwhile, the Garnet, 2 for 3 from the floor. They got a second chance opportunity. And if you're the Dolphins here, you want to stop this quick 4-0 run.
As the Garnets drive the ball up inside and lay it up and in. So the Garnets have hit 3 of their first 4 shots, and they take a quick 6-0 lead with 18-15 left here in the first half. Is now Murphy looking to drive his way inside. Now kicks it out to Scittino. Scittino, a beautiful crossover move. He lays it up and in, and that'll be a goaltend. So that'll be the first points of the game for the Dolphins, and they trail by a score of 6-2. Ball pinned up against the backboard. Clearly, Dave, easy call for the officials.
Yeah, and that time, number 14, Sam Lebrick, pounding on his chest saying that was my fault. Scittino just blew right by him, Mike. That was a nice step by Scittino to gain the baseline and put that one up. An easy call on the goaltend, and the Dolphins able to stop the 6-0 run.
So beautiful crossover move for Scittino. Gets the Dolphins their first points of the evening. And now it'll be the Garnets with the basketball at a 6-2 lead. Bourne out by the three-point line. Now works it over to Wiley. As the Garnets run the shot clock down to 10, they're looking to feed the ball inside once again. They're able to kick the ball outside, and the long three-pointer is up no good. This time Brocic is there to control the rebound. Now it's Scittino. He gets it ahead to Baum, but a nice defensive play by the Garnets, and they come away with the basketball.
Yeah, Dolphins did a nice job of boxing out. Brocic gets the defensive rebound, but again, Dolphins with another turnover and now a foul whistled against Rossiter.
So Rossiter will pick up his first foul of the night, the team's first foul of the night, and we'll have our first free throws as well, as Zach Yanda will go to the free throw line here to shoot 2.
Yeah, Yanda, like most players on this team, Mike, tremendous free throw shooter, 85% for the season. And even 85 out of 100.
And his first is up and in. And it's a 7-2 Garnet lead. One more upcoming. Yonda coming into tonight's game averaging just over 13 points a game, the second leading scorer for the Garnets. As that second one is up and no good, he'll have one more upcoming.
And now,
sorry, Dave, 3 substitutions early for the Garnets.
Yeah, I was going to say wholesale changes for the Garnet, and that's the one thing that they can do, Mike, that maybe CSI can't do as much of, is bring on whole waves of new line players, and we get our first taste of it here.
Yeah, it's Jim Lammers, Henry Costano, and Nate Schaefer all checking into the game for the Garnets.
And add to that, Mike, Zach Odell, who just came into the game as well. So 4 new players on the court for the Garnet against CSI starting 5.
So Schettino will bring the ball up slowly across the midcourt line. Just 2 minutes and 40 seconds here into this first half. 8-2 the score. Schettino crossover dribble, now kicking the ball out to Bracic. His open 3 is up, no good. And the rebound controlled by the Garnets. Big miss there for Bracic as Lammers grabs the rebound. And now it'll be Swarthmore basketball. Wiley working the ball up over to Schaefer. Now out over to Wiley, and his long three-pointer is no good. And Dave, for the second time here in just over 3 minutes, the Dolphins have committed a foul at the three-point line.
Well, that's one of the things we said in the opening, Mike, is that this is a three-point shooting team. They will take a lot of them, and unless you could stop them from shooting the three, they're going to put you away pretty quickly. And that time the Dolphins getting a little bit too over-aggressive on the perimeter. They knew that that's something that they had to do coming in. And I guess it's a good foul when they've missed a couple of free throws now, but trying to make them pay here is Cam Wiley, who's got 73 three-pointers this season.
Yeah, Wiley coming into today's game as a 75% free throw shooter. And the Garnets also, Dave, a very good free throw shooting team as well, as they shoot 72% as a team. And they've taken a 9-2 lead here early. And, Dave, a couple of 3-shot fouls, something that you really don't want to commit.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And that's something that, the Dolphins are in a position now, Mike, down 10-2, where they need a response. And that's one thing that Tony Petosa said he likes about his team, is that there's never a real sense of panic here, and they all stick together. When things go wrong, it's easy to kind of fall apart, but the Dolphins have always been tough.
Yeah, the Dolphins with just one basket here so far this afternoon, as they're able to get the offensive rebound now to Schettino. Now it's Bracic. His open 3 is no good, so Dave Bracic has missed his first open 2 3-pointers here tonight.
Yeah, you know what, and those are 2 that the Dolphins would love to have, and they get a break here as traveling on the play was Lammers. So I believe that might have been their first turnover of the game, Mike, for Swarthmore. So a team that does turn the ball over quite a bit, Mike, to get their first here. They've done well protecting it, as Stephen Flagg will come in replacing Rossiter. And DeCunto has checked in replacing Bracic, who's missed his first couple of shots.
So the Dolphins now with the basketball, trailing by 8. The women are at halftime down 46-22 at Christopher Newport. As Schettino drives inside, his pass is knocked away, and it'll be Maine Dolphin basketball with 18 seconds remaining here on the shot clock. And Dave, the Dolphins need to get their rhythm now pretty quick.
Yeah, and they really haven't gotten the ball inside at all to Murphy or Baum, Mike. I don't even think Baum has touched the ball yet offensively. So the Dolphins really have to start working their interior.
Schettino now kicks it over to Baum, and his open jumper is no good. So here through the first 4 minutes, Dave, the Dolphins have hit just one shot on the goaltend, and they trail by a score of 10-2. Odell feeding the ball inside to a wide-open Schaefer, who lays it up and in. And very uncharacteristic start here for the Dolphins, Dave, both defensively and offensively. And head coach Tony Petosa's seen enough, and he's going to take a 30-second timeout. But certainly, Dave, not the start the Dolphins were looking for here tonight.
No, Mike, and call it a little bit of nerves, call it some cold shooting. The Dolphins just haven't gotten the ball inside at all. This will turn into a full timeout, Mike, because of media as well. So the Dolphins want the 30, get the full, as coming back into the game will be number 44, Robbie Walsh. And we'll see if the Dolphins can kind of weasel their way back into this one.
Yeah, so, a nice Swarthmore doing a nice job really being able to get the ball inside pretty effectively. And, it's something that they've been able to use now to get themselves out to a 12-2 lead here with 15 minutes and 48 sequence remaining here in the first half. And, for the Dolphins, Dave, you see head coach Petosa out on the floor talking to the guys out there and, trying to get them set offensively. And, Dave, they really just need to come out and get back into their offensive flow.
Yeah, they just look out of sorts, Mike. They're not passing the ball on the perimeter like they usually do. Bracic actually took a couple of really good open three-point looks, just missed them. But their offensive game really just hasn't been there, Mike, at all regarding their ball distribution, the way they like to get the ball inside. They just haven't been able to adjust and penetrate down low. And that's a position, Mike, where the Dolphins should feel not so much that they have an advantage, but they can take advantage.
So a couple of substitutions here for the Dolphins. Stephen Flagg checking into the game early. Vinny DeCunto remains out on the floor now along with Khalid Baum. Kevon Murphy, as the ball comes across now to Murphy. Murphy's first jumper out of the game is good. And, Kevon, Dave, is the leading percentage shooter on the Dolphins, and he gets his first basket.
Well, and if you're a Dolphins fan, that's what you want to see. You want to see the Dolphins kind of banging it down low and forcing the Garnett to play defense down there.
As it's now Yoda taking the long two-pointer. It's no good, but there to grab the rebound is Chris Bourne to lay it up and in. So that's been a couple of offensive rebounds inside for Bourne, Dave, leading to second chance points for the Garnets, and the Dolphins down by 10. Once again, 14-4, as we're going to have a substitution as Jade Spence is going to check into the game now for Khalid Baum.
Yeah, and that's what they do, Mike. That's what Swarthmore does. They swarm to the ball. They get, they get second and third chances, and the whole Dolphins bench erupted that time looking for a travel on the play before the shot. Didn't get it, and then there was a little bit of standing around as a result.
As the ball comes up over to Murphy now, his jumper is going to be no good. It's going to go out of bounds, and we're through 5 minutes exactly here, and the Dolphins trailing by a score of 14-4 as we have the Swarthmore fans, Dave, standing across from us on the floor, really getting into it and enjoying a 10-point lead here thus far for the home team.
Yeah, and have every right. Kevon Murphy puts up an air ball from about 15 feet away. That is not Kevon's shot.
Liebrick with the basketball now. Bounce pass goes inside to Bourne. Dolphins looking to swarm him inside, and we're going to get a whistle, and that time we're going to get a travel. Nice defense that time by the Dolphins.
Yeah, that does happen, Mike, as this Swarthmore team will commit the turnover. They've turned the ball over 20 or more times, 8 times this year. It's very uncharacteristic of a team that makes it to the tournament. So the Dolphins, basically playing good body on body inside the paint and force another turnover that way. But, Mike, turnovers don't mean much if you're not cashing in the other way.
So Shatino now brings the ball across the midcourt line. He pulls up. His jumper from the top of the key is short as well. And Dolphins off on their shots here. Only 2 shots through the first 5.5 minutes as the ball gets worked inside. And that layup is up and in. And the foul is the Garnets continue to dominate the Dolphins inside, and they open up their biggest lead of the game, 12, with an opportunity to make it a 13-point lead. And, Dave, this will be the 3rd time that the Garnets are going to the free throw line here through about 5.5 minutes of play.
Mike, we've gone 40 minutes watching the Dolphins, and we've never seen shots like that sometimes. Kevon Murphy from 15 feet away, Frank Shatino not passing the ball, simply taking a shot right from the top of the arc. When those go in, you feel good, but those are not the high percentage shots we're used to seeing the Dolphins take.
Yeah, and the Dolphins with just 2 baskets here through nearly the first 6 minutes, now down by 13, 17-4. Shatino gets the ball inside to Spencer, back to DeCunto. His long three-pointer is no good as the Dolphins' ice-cold shooting continues. And the rebound grab now by the Garnets is driving the ball inside. His shot is no good. And we're going to have a whistle and a foul, and it'll be the first foul of the evening against the Garnets.
And I know Swarthmore has big Robbie Walsh in the game right now, number 44. But if you're the Dolphins, you have to get the ball inside. I mean, there's just been no offensive game at all on the interior. And I know Khalid Baum is a little frustrated. I see him, kind of motioning. The Dolphins haven't really gotten the ball even in the paint, Mike, at all for short jumpers. So the Dolphins really have to start banging it down low.
Baum now over to DeCunto. DeCunto trying to get the ball inside to Spencer, unable to do so. Now it's DeCunto putting up the long three-pointer. That's no good. Dolphins now 0 for 4 from the three-point line. And now it's the Garnets with the basketball as Schettino is able to come away with the turnover. Dolphins looking to run 2-on-1 as Schettino drives down the lane. That's no good. The putback by Spencer is no good. And now DeCunto able to grab the rebound as the Dolphins get another opportunity at the basket. Schettino, beautiful feed inside to Baum, who lays it up and in and draws the foul. And, you know, that's something, Dave, a shot in a basket that the Dolphins desperately needed there.
Yeah, you know what? That's the Dolphins game. You know, Frank Schettino cutting to the inside, gaining the paint, drawing attention, dishing out to the baseline. Kalik Baum finishing layups, getting fouls. The Dolphins getting to the free throw line. This is the Dolphins game. They're among the nation's leaders in getting to the free throw line, banging down low, penetrating inside, forcing defenses to backpedal. That's what they do, Mike, and they finally got that break that they wanted.
So Baum completes the three-point play for the Dolphins as they've now cut the deficit down to 10, 17-7, 13:02 remaining here in the first half as that's Wiley with the basketball. Wiley over to Lammers. Lammers works it inside to Schaefer's. Back outside, the long three-pointer by Jim Lammers is good.
And a quick foul the other way as Frank Schettino tried to get it up. That was another big three by Swarthmore. We know their efficiency, Mike, from beyond the arc. And they make the Dolphins pay that time, and now their lead is the biggest of the game, 13 points.
Yeah, so the Dolphins will inbound the basketball now as that second team foul will be committed by Zach Yoda, and the Dolphins now with the basketball is at Schettino. Schettino looking to work his way and get the ball inside. He drives down the lane. His shot is blocked, but he draws the foul.
And that's what Schettino needs to do, Mike. Swarthmore is playing right up against him on the perimeter. Frank Schettino's strength is his ability to cross over, get to the inside. He did it once before and was able to find Kalik Baum open underneath. This time takes it himself and gets a trip to the line. He's the nation's leader in free throw attempts.
The first free throw is up and no good, so Schettino misses the first, and Dolphins who fallen behind early need to make up points wherever they can as Spencer checks out of the game. Kevon Murphy comes back in for the Dolphins, so now it's Bracci, Schettino, Murphy, Baum, and DeCunto as Schettino misses the pair, and the Dolphins deficit remains 13.
Yeah, so the Dolphins, we've seen that from Frank miss a couple of times. He's been able to catch fire from the free throw line as well.
So now the Garnett with the basketball as it's Liebrick. Liebrick now working it over. The long three-pointer is up, no good, but once again, another offensive rebound here for the Garnets.
Ooh, tough foul there on Frank Schettino as he was poking in at that one with 12:09 to go. Dolphins stuck on 7 points here through the first 8 minutes and trying to get some stops here defensively. They haven't played badly defensively, Mike, have the Dolphins, but they've given up a lot of second chance points. That's the calling card of this Garnett team.
And the Dolphins coming in averaging 78 points a game, so need to get back on track offensively as Baum drives his way inside. That shot is up, no good. Baum looking for the call, none forthcoming. And here comes Swarthmore with the basketball.
And I think that's the third or fourth time that the Dolphins have not been able to get points via the turnover.
As Liebrick puts up that long three-pointer, and that's good. And, you know, Dave, the Dolphins better get their offense back on track here, or they're going to find themselves falling out of this game early.
Yeah, that baseline three was a killer that time. The Dolphins able to get a foul called that way as we will have an official timeout on the floor, Mike. So the Dolphins will get a chance to talk things over, but they are down by a bundle, 16. And if you're the Dolphins and Tony Petoza, you know what? You've got 31 minutes left in this game. It's an eternity. We've seen the Dolphins go on runs. We know they're not going to shoot this poorly the entire game, but the Dolphins really need to start thinking about their offense here and getting some high percentage shots off the ground.
Yeah, and you know, Dave, this is a Swarthmore team coming into the game tonight, averaging 75 points a game, and they put up 23 points here in just over 8 minutes against the Dolphins here so far tonight. So Dolphins not playing well, Dave, either offensively or defensively here through the first 8 minutes of play.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? I'll actually say, I don't really mind the way the Dolphins are playing defensively. I think they're not allowing easy buckets on the interior. The Garnett have made their last couple of threes. The Dolphins have been able to force some turnovers, but the Dolphins just really haven't done anything offensively, Mike. Apart from Frank Schettino cutting up on the inside, drawing a foul, and dishing that one pass to Khalid Baum on the baseline that he hit, there really hasn't been any kind of sustained offense. The Dolphins look very herky-jerky offensively, Mike. They don't look like they have much of a plan. And so what I'm looking for with the Dolphins here these last 11 minutes is to kind of, develop their offense a little bit more, work their half-court game. It's not their strength. Their strength is running and cutting in, but they've got to be a little bit more methodical with their offense.
Yeah, and the Dolphins with just 3 baskets so far here tonight, as Schettino's first free throw is up and in. He's now 1 of 3 from the line. And, Dave, the Dolphins also looking for their first 3-pointer tonight of the night as well.
Yeah, and they've had open looks. Eden Brachis has had 2 wide open looks. Vincent DeCunto had 2 open looks. They missed them all. So the Dolphins really do need to hit that first, and sometimes the rest come with that.
And Schettino misses the second, so he's now 1 of 4 from the free throw line. So the Dolphins already leaving 3 points on the line here in this early going. And it'll be Swarthmore with the basketball as it's Walsh with the ball out on the perimeter.
That's great defense by the Dolphins.
Now it's Schettino. Schettino looking to work his way inside. That shot's going to be no good, and we're going to have a shot clock violation this time. Good defensive play that time by the Dolphins.
Yeah, and Zach Yonda could have been called for an offensive foul there. He just decides to put a shoulder into Frank Schettino and then shoot the ball. You can't do that, but not called. Instead, it was a 30-second violation.
So now it's Murphy out at the free throw line extended, getting the ball back up over to Schettino. Schettino's jumper from the free throw line is good. So Schettino gets the basket, and the Dolphins now trail 23-10 as Wiley kicking the ball back out into the corner. Now they work the ball inside to Bourne. Bourne, a nice physical presence inside for the Garnets, but that shot is no good, and now Schettino with the rebound. Schettino out over to Brachich. His jumper from the free throw line extended is good.
Yeah, this is what the Dolphins are capable of, that mid-range game. That's their strength, too. Guys, especially guys like Eden Brachich shooting it.
Now it's Yoda with the basketball. Yoda working it across to Wiley. Now it's Bourne, this time out by the three-point line. Now they work the ball inside, looking to work against Kevon Murphy, and using his size and strength is Robbie Walsh to bank it up and in.
Yeah, so Swarthberg had made a couple of three-pointers. Now those last 2 possessions down the floor, banging it on the inside, challenging the CSI interior defenders, and that time Walsh wins the battle.
Schettino out by the three-point line with 14 to shoot. Schettino pulling up. His jumper is up and in, and Schettino taking the offense on his shoulders, Dave, hitting the last 2 baskets for the Dolphins.
Remember what we said in the opener, Mike, when Frank Schettino senses that his team needs him, he'll do whatever he needs to do to get them back in the game. Now it means shooting.
Now Wiley's long three-pointer, that's going to be no good. The ball will be knocked out of bounds. It will be last touch by the Garnet, and it will be Dolphin basketball now trying to work their way back in the game, trailing by a score of 25-14. Dave, the Garnets came out fast and haven't trailed here tonight.
Yeah, remember what we said before too, Mike, that this is a CSI team that doesn't panic, doesn't tend to panic when they're down. They stay with their game, they work their hardest, and this is what they're used to almost, having to come back.
Schettino now out behind the three-point line. He pulls up. His jumper from the free throw line is good. 3 in a row for Schettino. Cuts the Dolphin deficit down to 9, 25-16.
And, Mike, more important than those baskets is now you're going to see more and more attention to Frank Schettino, top of the key. And that's going to mean that the CSI interior players are going to start to get some more space.
Wiley misses another three-pointer, and now Schettino comes back with a three-pointer of his own. That's up, no good, and Odell grabs the rebound. And here comes the Garnett looking to run.
Yeah, that was one of those shots, Mike. You make it, you're a huge hero, and you totally swing momentum. You miss it, and it's a shot that Tony Petoza hates.
Now the long three-pointer is up, no good. The ball tipped around, and Murphy able to grab the rebound, and the Dolphins have the basketball. Shatino, now it's Bracic. Bracic fakes the three-pointer. His running one-hander on the inside is up, no good. And the rebound grabbed by the Garnett. Another long three-pointer, that's no good. This time DeCunto there to grab the rebound and hand the ball off to Shatino.
And they want a timeout. Looks like Tony Petoza wanted a timeout. And he's saying he did not call timeout. Kevon Murphy called it, so the Dolphins have lost a timeout that they didn't actually want. You can see Tony Petoza talking it over with Kevon Murphy. He did not want to take that timeout. The Dolphins instead used one.
So, Dave, we're about 12 minutes into the game. The Dolphins started their shooting out a little bit slow, Dave, but have gotten their field goal percentage up to 33%, but still 0 of 5, Dave, from the three-point line and just 1 of 4 from the free throw line.
Yeah, you know what? The 5 three-pointers that they've taken, Mike, have all been good shots. They've been open shots. The only one maybe was Frank Shatino's pull-up, but still, you can almost think that that's a good shot in terms of being able to swing momentum. It just didn't fall. But the Dolphins will get their opportunities. They will get their looks. And, Mike, they're taking advantage of, I wouldn't call it poor shooting by Swarthmore on the three-point line. But remember, this is a huge three-point shooting team. Swarthmore already, 12 minutes into the game, they put up a ton of three-point shots, Mike. And the Dolphins are fortunate that Swarthmore hasn't exactly found their hot shooting touch from the arc.
Yeah, and, the Dolphins getting hurt a little bit on the inside. Robbie Walsh leading the Garnett with 7 points, and Chris Bourne has 4 points, but they're doing a good job, Dave, scoring inside. Walsh 3 of 3, Bourne 2 of 3 from the field.
Yeah, absolutely, and you could sense that Swarthmore not shooting the ball well from three-point range, relying on their inside game a little bit more.
So with the Dolphins down 25-16, Dave, the Dolphins fell behind early. They've trailed by as many as 13, but have now cut the lead, the deficit down to 9, and have the ball.
Yeah, and it starts with offense. It starts with defense, Mike, and that's where the Dolphins really do a lot of their dirty work. Defensively, it leads to good offense the other way.
So now it's the Dolphins, and Shatino tries to drive to the basket, but he'll draw the foul on the outside.
And, Mike, I got to be honest, Shatino right now is really doing a great job against the perimeter guards of Swarthmore, getting around them and being able to find the inside. That's a good play by Shatino to cut back inside.
So now it's Shatino with the basketball, as that was Odell who picked up his first foul. Shatino driving his way inside, now kicks it out to Flagg. Flagg working his way inside. His short runner in the lane is up, no good. Spencer goes for the rebound, but instead it's the Garnets coming away with the basketball, as that's Wiley. Wiley over to Cousineau. Cousineau now gets the ball up over to Odell. Now it's Wiley, as the Garnets down to 14 on the shot clock. Lammers to Wiley. Is Garnett working the ball around the three-point line. They try to feed it inside to Lammers. Instead, Shatino comes away with the steal for the Dolphins. Shatino, spinning move inside, feeds it inside to Murphy, but he was stepping on the end line, and it'll be another turnover for the Dolphins.
Dolphins are waiting to find Kevon Murphy in this first half. He's been really silent here for the Dolphins. Swarthmore's done a really nice job of bottling him up on the inside. He hasn't gotten a lot of space, and there he got a really nice pass. Unfortunately, his heel was out of bounds, and it leads to a CSI turnover.
So the Dolphins turn the ball over here for the third time tonight, and it's Garnett basketball with a 9-point lead. Wiley guarded by DeCunto. Now it's Bourne on the inside. Bourne getting the ball back out over to Wiley. Now with 14 to shoot, and we're going to have a whistle and a foul called against Kevon Murphy, and he's pretty hot on the play, Dave. He kind of felt that Walsh was backing into him. Instead, Murphy's going to end up picking up his first and the team's fifth.
Yeah, I think Murphy was gesturing to the other official who saw something differently, got an explanation, and it was his foul.
Bourne, his floater in the lane is up, no good. Nice play by Shatino to grab the rebound as the Dolphins looking to run once again. Shatino, crossover dribble now, looks to back out. He drives his way inside. His runner is up, no good, but he's going to draw the foul on the play.
And, Mike, the only thing Shatino really hasn't been doing is hitting his foul shots, but he has been able to get past the perimeter defense of Swarthmore. He's been able to get to the basket. He's gotten fouled. Now he's got to finish the play here and make his free throws, but he's done a really great job of getting to the inside.
So that foul is going to be on Liebrick. That's going to be his second, but Chatino misses the first. He's now 1 of 5 from the line, Dave. The Dolphins 2 of 6.
Yeah, and he's right off to the side of that Swarthmore crowd that's really giving him the business, Mike. And you could tell it might be impacting his shooting here. But Chatino 1 for 5.
Yeah, and those are big points, Dave. You get into these big games against good teams, especially on the road, and these missed free throws can always be a problem. Chatino comes back and hits the second, and the Dolphins have cut the deficit down to 8, 25-17.
Dolphins back off with the press, but showing a little bit more front court pressure, Mike.
Now it's Wiley. Wiley working at the open three-pointer. That time by Yoda is good, and Dave, Yoda is a 43% three-point shooter. You can't leave him open from the three-point line, and then the Dolphins turn the ball over. So all that good work, Dave, to cut the deficit down to 8. It's now back to 11, and the Garnett have the basketball.
Yep, and they still haven't even heated up from three-point range yet, Mike. This is a deadly three-point shooting team.
As that long jumper is up, no good. DeCunto grabs the rebound, and he feeds it ahead of the field to Chatino, who lays it up and in.
Yeah, nice job by DeCunto to find Chatino for that field goal.
So Chatino cuts the deficit down to 9, but there, drilling the long three-pointer is Wiley as the sophomore guard buries it. 31-19 is we're going to have a whistle, and it's going to remain Dolphin basketball, Dave. That time, one official had the ball going to the Garnett, but he's overruled, and it will remain Dolphin basketball.
Yeah, and if you're the Dolphins right now, you're allowing a little bit too much of an open look from three-point range defensively. Swarthmore was doing them a few favors by not hitting.
Now the long jumper by DeCunto is good, so he hits his first three-pointer in 3 attempts, a big basket to make it a 9-point game once again.
Yeah, DeCunto's normally a very, unselfish shooter, Mike. He waits for the best looks that he can possibly find, and that time he made him pay.
As now it's Walsh taking the ball to the basket, and we're going to have a whistle and a jump ball.
Yeah, jump ball in favor of the Dolphins. And, Mike, I think the Dolphins got away with a foul there. It looked like Kevon Murphy had a bit too much of Walsh's wrist, as we see our first look from Christian Taylor here for the Dolphins. And we're going to have a whistle here, a 30-second timeout called by Swarthmore. So they want to talk things over. Once again, their lead, which was as many as 13, I believe, Mike, now down to 9. And this is an interesting part of the game, Mike. Last 5.5 minutes of the first half, it's one of those situations where if Swarthmore wins these next 5 minutes, they go into halftime with a double-digit lead. If the Dolphins win these next 5 minutes, Mike, they could potentially knock this game down to a 5-7-point game at halftime. They got to feel pretty good about that, considering they only had 7 points on the scoreboard through the first 8 minutes of the game.
Yeah, the Dolphins have really picked it up a little bit offensively, Dave, and head coach Tony Petosa bringing in Christian Taylor. And, Christian had a very interesting first season with the Dolphins, Dave, but has certainly shown a lot of spark and a lot of ability offensively for CSI.
Yeah, and I think they like his defense too, Mike. I think on the perimeter, sometimes he will commit fouls, he will take fouls, but he's a real big body. He's got long arms, is able to really upset the flow of some of those perimeter players.
And the Garnett now 4 of 10 from the three-point line. The Dolphins 1 of 6 as the Dolphins turn the ball over once again. And, Dolphins turning the ball over a little too much here, Dave. That's going to be their 5th turnover of the game, as that ball's going to be knocked out of bounds, and it's going to remain Garnett basketball.
And Bracic is having a line to forget, Mike, in this first half. I mean, he's turned the ball over. He hasn't made any shots yet. He actually did make one from just beyond the free throw line, but that pass left a little bit to be desired.
Dolphins getting out rebounded here in this first half, 18-13. You mentioned, Dave, in the pregame show how effective this team was in rebounding the basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that they win all the time. The Dolphins have won their last 13 games, Mike, when they've won the rebounding battle. Well, that's going to be awful tough here against Swarthmore, which is a plus 13 in rebounds per game.
As that time a wide open look and layup is up and in, and it's a 33-22 game as now it's DeCunto bringing the ball up for the Dolphins.
Yeah, breakdown defensively that time for the Dolphins as Zach Odell was able to work off the screen.
Now it's Khalid Baum working his way up inside. His layup is up, no good. The ball tipped around as Baum ends up on the ground once again. And, you know, Baum and Murphy both very quiet here, Dave, in this first half as Wiley drains the jumper from the free throw line. And the Dolphins trail by 13 once again.
Yep, and this is happening with Frank Schettino on the bench, Mike.
Bracic now out by the three-point line, feeds it out over to Baum. Baum works it inside to Murphy, who lays it up and in.
Yep, Mike, and that's exactly what the Dolphins have not been doing. They haven't been getting the ball inside near that corner of the baseline paint area, and they really haven't been able to really penetrate Swarthmore.
So Murphy now with 4 points for the Dolphins as it's Walsh trying to fight his way inside. He's double a triple team, and the ball is stolen away by Taylor, but he loses possession to Wiley. So a nice defensive play that time by the Garnett is driving the ball and laying it up as Yoda. That's no good, and this time it's the Dolphins coming away.
Again, the Dolphins wanting to run, Mike, after the turnover, guilty of one themselves.
DeCunto backing the ball out now with 20 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Now it's Bracic. Bracic fakes a three-pointer and feeds it up over to Murphy. Murphy trying to work his way through a double team, and the ball's blocked and knocked away. And now it's Wiley with the basketball. Wiley out by the three-point line, hands it up over to Odell. Now they look to work the ball inside to Walsh. Walsh is double teamed and draws the foul, and Kevon Murphy getting very frustrated, Dave, for the Dolphins.
And it looks like we might have an official whistle. We do. So Dolphins just can't seem to get over those humps, Mike. The Swarthmore got off to an early lead. It's been back and forth, 50-50 pretty much since then, Mike. But Dolphins just can't seem to hit that big shot, can't seem to finish that play. Jade Spencer's now getting set to come in to replace, I believe it will be Murphy, who, also in this first half, Mike's been very, very frustrated. That time, that last trip down the floor, Mike, when he was swatted, it was just because he kind of backpedaled into the paint. You know, he needs to go up strong. Swarthmore has some size, but CSI has the girth. They're just bigger. They're more muscular. They need to kind of power their way inside against a Swarthmore team that this is their first trip to the NCAAs, and the Dolphins really have been just a little bit too timid, Mike, offensively in this first half.
Yeah, the Dolphins now shooting 37% from the field. Swarthmore shooting at 43%. But from the three-point line, Dave, Swarthmore 4 from 11. CSI just 1 of 6, including a lot of open looks, Dave, that they haven't been able to convert.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for the Dolphins, I think what they have to be looking at is they're a defensive team, and they've given up 35 points here in 17 minutes. That's more than where they'd like to be in the first half.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Dave, as it's going to be 2 shots now for Walsh, as his first is up and in. Just to get you a quick update, Christopher Newport really taking it to the Dolphins, Dave, end of 3, 80-37. So the Dolphins will win their Kudiak Championship, Dave, their first one since 2005, but their NCAA tournament appearance will end after tonight.
Yeah, that's a tough line score for the women, down by 43 after 3, but they ran into a powerhouse in Christopher Newport on their home court to boot.
And now it's Khalid Baum with the basketball. Baum just 1 of 4, and now he's going to turn the ball over with a travel. And, Dave, working your way back from a 13-point deficit, the Dolphins need to do a better job protecting the basketball.
Yeah, you know what, Mike, on that last trip again, we saw Khalid Baum get the ball, drive inside, and then just stop and look for a pass. That's a play that I'm sure Tony Petoza would like to see his big man finish. Keep going in the paint. The size belongs to you. Finish the play.
So the Dolphins now with another turnover here, as now it's the Garnett with the basketball as they feed the ball out over to Schaefer. Schaefer guarded tightly by Spencer. Now getting the ball up over to Wiley. Wiley now feeding the ball inside. That shot's blocked away beautifully. And it's Schettino looking to run 1-on-4, wisely pulling the ball up for the Dolphins. Just over 2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining here in the first half. Schettino fakes the shot and then draws the foul. And Schettino, I thought Dave might have been a little fortunate on that play.
Yeah, we've seen Swarthmore do that a couple of times, and we were saying how that could be very easily be an offensive foul. This time, Schettino gets the benefits of the call. And, Mike, this is where the Dolphins also have left a little bit to be desired. Only 1 for 5 Schettino is so far on the free throw line. Would like to make these two count.
And he misses the first, Dave, now just 1 of 6. And with that 1 of 6, he still has half of the Dolphin points, 12 of their 24 points. And, that's a problem, Dave, because they're just leaving way too many points, as that one wasn't even close, as the Dolphins can't grab the offensive rebounds as well. And, Dave, you can't come into these games and have your best player shoot 1 of 7 from the free throw line.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? It's a new stage for them. It's a place where they haven't been, and I credit that just to nerves and maybe the crowd, because Frank Schettino has had his struggles from the free throw line at times, but 1 of 7 is just, that's not Frank Schettino.
And the official stat line has him 2 of 8, Dave, here on the live stat. So now it's going to be another couple of free throw opportunities here for the Garnett.
Yeah, it would make sense, Mike, that he has 8 attempts here, 4 trips to the line.
As that free throw is up, no good, and the rebound grabbed by Bracic, and now the Dolphins looking to run as they feed it ahead to DeCunto. His shot is up and no good, but he draws the foul.
This is a big moment in the game, Mike. The Dolphins are down by 13. This has matched their biggest deficit on a few occasions, and now they have to try and cut into this lead before halftime. I think if the Dolphins could send it into the half down by just 9, maybe 8, that would be a moral victory for them. But if they continue to miss their free throws, Mike, and continue to stay cold from the floor, they potentially could go down by a huge number.
As DeCunto's first free throw is up and no good, as the Dolphins' free throw struggles continue here tonight.
Yeah, it's been bad. It's been bad. The free throw shooting has been bad by the Dolphins, and, that's something that they need to overcome, Mike. And the Dolphins as a team, around 65%. It's nothing to write home about, but never this bad.
As that second free throw is up and good, so DeCunto hits 1 of 2, and the Dolphin deficit is now 12, 35-27. Dolphins now 4 of 11 from the free throw line here tonight, as that pass is stolen away beautifully by Bracic, as Bracic drives down the lane and lays it up and in.
So just like that, the Dolphins have cut it now to 10 points. And they did it again, Mike, with good perimeter defense.
Let's see if they can play some good defense here throughout the last minute, 35 seconds, as it's Wiley with the basketball out by the three-point line. He feeds the ball out over to Odell. Odell back up to Wiley now with 15 to shoot. Now it's Odell, the big 6'7" freshman. Hands the ball off now to Wiley with 6 on the shot clock. His long three-pointer is no good. Rebound controlled by Schettino. And Schettino's going to draw a foul out on the floor, and that's going to be against Liebrick, and I believe that'll be his third, Dave.
It will, and now, no, I'm sorry, his second, Mike, and that'll be a 1-and-1 opportunity. So now here comes Schettino again, and the first one is huge because it buys you the second. The Dolphins could really make it hurt now from the free throw line.
So let's see how Schettino could do here, as the first free throw is up and in. He'll have one more upcoming, as the Dolphins have cut the deficit down to 9. 37-28 with 1:16 remaining. And, Dave, the Garnett got out to a pretty hot start scoring the basketball, but the Dolphins have done a much better job defensively.
Yeah, it starts with that, Mike. They've done a really good job perimeter defending, and Vinny DeCunto, who's had a lot of minutes in this first half, deserves a lot of credit.
As that time, it's Wiley driving down the lane, and he felt he was pushed. Was shoved off out of the way by Wiley. Instead, the foul will be called on DeCunto. That will be his first, and that will send Cam Wiley back to the free throw line to shoot 2.
Yeah, and that's, again, a nice play by Wiley, because sensing that he's being guarded very heavily on the perimeter, was able to get some space against DeCunto and take him to the inside. That's a good heads-up play by Wiley to get inside and earn himself a couple of freebies. But again, it just speaks to the fact that DeCunto has played very well defensively, and that's why he's getting so much time on the floor here. these first 20 minutes.
So Wiley with 8 points here so far. That's his 9th. And that's going to make it a 10-point lead now with just over a minute remaining in the first half. As Schettino drives down the lane, his shot is up, no good. Spencer goes to put it back up and in. He misses the shot, but draws the foul. Nice play that time by Jade Spencer, Dave, to keep it alive for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and again, Schettino sensing a good opportunity to go inside, win back some of this momentum, misses the layup, and he's upset at himself here on the near side. And Jade Spencer, 54% free throw shooter, will try and cut into this lead.
As that first free throw is up and no good. One more upcoming.
Stephen Flagg is going to come back in here for the Dolphins to replace Bracic, who was, again, very, very good defensively, but has had a very quiet night offensively. Stephen Flagg, a little bit more dynamic offensive player, Mike.
Yeah, Bracic leaving 2 of 5 from the field, 0 of 2 from the three-point line. He has 4 points, and Spencer's second free throw is up and in. He splits the pair, and the Dolphins now trail 39-30. Wiley with the basketball. Wiley looking to drive inside. DeCunto forcing him back out behind the three-point line. Now it's Cousineau. Cousineau out by the three-point line, guarded tightly by Baum. Now he works the ball up over to Wiley. Wiley now with 9 seconds on the shot clock. He feeds the ball out over to Lammers. Lammers hands it off to Wiley with 4 seconds as Wiley's long jumper is up, no good. Another offensive rebound as the ball worked inside. This time Dolphins able to knock the ball away. Now it's Schettino. Schettino out by the three-point line. The shot clock is off. Let's see if the Dolphins hold for the last shot.
The big, big shot here, Mike, to end this first half. Dolphins could potentially get it down to 6 or 7. We said that would be a moral victory here coming out of the first half.
Schettino now with 7 seconds on the shot clock, works the ball inside. Now it's DeCunto. DeCunto pulls back for the open three-pointer. That's up, no good. And a big opportunity there, Dave, by DeCunto to cut it down to 3, to go for the 3, but he misses, and the Dolphins will go into halftime, Dave, trailing by 9.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. This is one of those, I think the Dolphins should feel a little bit fortunate being only down by 9 here after one half of play. So the Dolphins will go into halftime. As you can see them exiting left. Down by as many as 13. They go into halftime down by just 9.
Yeah, Dave, a nice job by the Dolphins. They've actually trailed in this game, Dave, by as many as 16 according to the official statistics, but able to go into halftime trailing by 9. A big opportunity to cut it down to 6, but a nice job by the Dolphins, Dave, to keep themselves well within striking distance.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? I think when you think about the first 8 minutes of this game, Mike, the Dolphins really were not a very good basketball team. They just weren't. They weren't setting up offensively. They were taking really bad shots. They weren't getting the ball inside at all. They were not contesting the 3 as much as they should have. And the bottom line is the final 13 minutes of this first half, the Dolphins outscored Swarthmore by 4 points. They played a little bit better on the inside. They got better looks. You know what? Their free throw shooting has been not good. They're 7 of 15 from the free throw line. It actually looked like a lot worse, Mike, when you think about it. But the Dolphins have done some good things in this first half. It's just been the last 12 minutes or so of that first half. Now they have 15 minutes to think about it, to talk about it, and to come out in the final 20 and win it by 9 points or more.
Yeah, Dave, and you look at this Dolphin team, and 4 of the hottest players for the Dolphins really have been very quiet here tonight, Dave. Khalid Baum finishing just 1 of 4 in the first half from the field, 3 points. Kevon Murphy, who's been red hot, just 2 of 4 with 4 points. Robert Rawson, who's had 3 or 4 good games in a row, Dave, finishing with no points on just 1 shot in 4 minutes. And Eden Bracic, who's also played well for the Dolphins, Dave, finishing with just 4 points as well, as the Dolphins really struggling offensively. Some of their best players really struggling offensively, but yet the Dolphins still find themselves well within striking distance, trailing just by a score of 39-30.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what you just said, Mike, striking distance. That's where the Dolphins really they've got some ability here is they're able to get themselves back in. One or two shots, they're able to get themselves back in.
So 39-30 the score. We're at halftime here. The College of Staten Island trailing by 9. The women's team going down to Christopher Newport down in Virginia and struggling tonight, Dave, but still doesn't take away from their first NCAA appearance and their first CUNYAC championship since 2005.
Yeah, Mike, obviously we've been unable to watch that game, but we've been following it via our computers and our phones here, and it's a tough loss for the Dolphins. We knew that they were going to be, on paper anyway, a little bit overmatched, not even, from a personnel standpoint, Mike, but CNU, they're a team that's consistently in the NCAA tournament. They went to the Sweet 16 a couple years ago, and, they basically know how to win. They're a team that's seasoned, and then to be on their home court to boot, it makes a big difference. And the Dolphins went in there. You know what? They had a good trip. Hopefully, they'll stay there overnight again. They'll get to enjoy a little bit of tomorrow before coming back to Staten Island. But the CSI women's team can really rest proud. 22-7 on the season under head coach Tim Shanahan, the CUNY Coach of the Year, CUNY Player of the Year. Christina Passatoro is coming back next year as a senior. The Dolphins graduate no one. So they could feel pretty good about themselves, Mike, this Dolphins team looking into next year as well.
Yeah, and Dave, that CSI women's team looking for some players with size, and that head coach Tim Shanahan will be out beating the bushes, looking to try to find a couple of players that can give the Dolphins a little bit more size inside, Dave.
Yeah, and if we know Tim Shanahan, we know that that'll start tomorrow probably. Maybe limited because they'll be on a bus for most of the day. But realistically, Monday or Tuesday, Tim Shanahan will probably be back at the office. He'll probably be putting in his 6-7 hours, even though he's being only being paid for 1 or 2 as a part-time coach. But the Dolphins, that's what makes them so good, Mike, year in and year out, is they're constantly grinding it out, going on the road, recruiting, scouting, making tour visits for prospective student athletes, and hopefully the Dolphins are able to add a couple of pieces to the puzzle and come out next year, defend the championship, and make it back to the NCAA.
Dave, it's been a game that the Dolphins have never let in. They came out of the box really struggling with their shooting, only a couple of baskets through the first several minutes of play, but the Dolphins find themselves still in this game, Dave. And, you look at some of the numbers, and the Dolphins getting outscored in the paint, but it's only by a score of 16-12. Both teams have basically turned the ball over the same number of times. The Dolphins have turned the ball over 8 times, or 7 times, I should say. The Garnet have turned the ball over 7 times. And, again, it's a game, Dave, where the Dolphins have really struggled to score. 11 baskets in the first half. And, Frankie Scittino, Dave, with 14 of the 30 Dolphin points, but just 4 of 10 from the free throw line.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Mike. And, he did make a last couple. He did make his last couple there at the free throw line. But the bottom line is, he's had some opportunities, Frank has, to really, put the knife into Swarthmore a little bit more at the free throw line and just wasn't able to do it. So, for Frank, 40% at the line, not typical for him. But you know what, Mike? What's good about what the Dolphins have done in this first half was that they were able to get to the line. The Dolphins are always at their best when they are shooting free throws. This season, they've won their last 12 games when they've gone to the line for 25 or more shots. Doesn't matter how many they make. When they go to the line 25 plus times, they've won their last 12 games, and there's something like 19-2, on the season with that stat, or the past 2 years with that stat. So this is a team that really works hard to penetrate down low, get the ball inside, and then get second chances, not so much with shots, but at the free throw line. And obviously a 65, 66% free throw shooting team, it means a lot of points.
Yeah, so we're at halftime here. The Dolphins trailing by a score of 39-30. Christopher Newport won earlier tonight, handling Morrisville State pretty handily after falling behind by 5 points in the first half, and then coming out on a big run and really never looking back in that game. And, they have the advantage, Dave, of sitting back and, watching these two teams play here tonight, coming in as the highest rated team in this group of four.
Yeah, absolutely. And they really, I don't want to say they didn't have any trouble, but, after the first couple of sluggish minutes for CNU, they were able to turn things around and just blow the doors open in that first game. Went on to a pretty emphatic win over Morrisville State, and they will await the winner. Many of their players and their coaches obviously are still here scouting this game. Probably the first time they're watching either of these two teams play live. So it's going to be a good game no matter what tomorrow night. We're hoping selfishly that it'll be the Dolphins, but really, Mike, the way both of these teams have played in the first half, they've shown signs that they belong in the second round.
The Dolphins in the NCAA tournament for the first time since the 2013 year, and that year, Dave, they went down and lost to Catholic University, who came in as the number 9 ranked team in the country, and the Dolphins haven't been back to the tournament since then, so glad to be back here tonight, but certainly looking to make it into the round of 32.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. That's what, that the grandeur of making the tournament, that wears off as soon as you start to play. It's always nice, in the Sports and Rec Center, there was that thrill of winning the CUNYs, and then, once you see your team up there in that bracket, and then Wednesday comes around, and you're like, you know what? We can win this game. We need to get to the round of 32. We can play in the round of 16. And you start looking at the stats, and you realize that some of the other teams that are involved in this tournament, they're not that far off the Dolphins. That they rank just like many of the other powerhouse teams. Remember, Mike, this is a Swarthmore team that's been in the top 25 just about all year long. They were ranked as high as 15th in the nation. So we're talking about a team that realistically is somewhere between 15th and 25th in the nation. Out of 440 schools, the Dolphins are right there with them these last 12, 13 minutes. They feel they should belong.
The College of Staten Island, of course, coming in with a 21-6 record overall. They've won their last 15 games. They have not dropped a game since back in 2016 in the finals of the Tournament of Champions, a game they dropped against Middlebury College by a final score of 70-59. And, Dave, the Dolphins have gone into some games at halftime trailing, and usually in those games have come back with a big second half. And, you go back to the Kodiak Championship just a few games ago, and, Dolphins struggled a little bit offensively in that game early, but they got big second halves out of Khalid Baum and Kevon Murphy, and that's something, Dave, the Dolphins are certainly going to need here tonight.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. I mean, they know that, they're in this game, Mike, A, and B, they know that they belong in this game, and C, they know that they haven't played their best basketball yet. So they're still waiting, to play their best basketball so far, and they're coming out in drips and drove here with about 4.5 minutes left. Tony Petoza has talked to his team, has made them known what they need to do, and we'll see if the Dolphins can, realize what their potential is in this second half. They're going to need some points, Mike. They're going to need a lot of them in the second half. We'll see what the Dolphins have planned for us.
Yeah, and, looking at some of these first half stats, Dave, no player with more than 2 personal fouls for the Dolphins. Kevon Murphy and Eden Bracic both have 2 for Swarthmore. Sam Liebrick, Zach Yoda, Jim Lammers, and Henry Costano all have 2. So nobody in any real deep foul trouble yet, Dave, for either team. I think one player, Dave, very quiet in the first half. Robert Rossiter just 0 for 1 shooting in just 4 minutes of play. Jade Spencer, who's played very well for the Dolphins, finishing with no points, but did grab 4 rebounds. And, Stephen Flagg, Dave, who we also mentioned, who's played well at times, also just 0 of 1 for the floor. So, Dave, Dolphins need points from Murphy and Baum, but they also need some points from some of their secondary players as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. For too long in the first half, the Dolphins were relying strictly on Frank Schettino because no one else was really creating offense. It's one thing to put the ball in the basket, but who's creating? Who's getting to the rim? Who's manufacturing shots? And the first few minutes of this first half, it was all Chatino. But then we started to see a couple of other players. Vinny DeCunto was handling the ball a little bit more, made a big three. Kalik Baum got his hands on the ball a little bit more. I still think, Mike, that the key to this game, for me anyway, is being able to get the ball inside to Kalik Baum and Kevon Murphy, and for CSI's two big men to really play big, to really get above the rim, to challenge the interior players of Swarthmore. What I've seen is too much backpedaling in the paint by both of those young men. They need to really attack the basket, attack the rim. At the very least, Mike, you miss a layup, you work yourself back in, maybe you get fouled and go to the line. But the Dolphins just have been, too tentative in the paint, pussyfooting around instead of really taking it into the hole and manufacturing points there.
Dave, we're just about a minute and 45 seconds away from the start of the second half. The Dolphins trailing by 9, 39-30. What are your keys for the Dolphins to get back into the second half and really challenge Swarthmore right here on their home floor?
For me, it's very simple. You got to pound it inside, Mike. You got to go to Kalik Baum, and you got to go to Kevon Murphy. You know what? Kalik Baum in that first half against CCNY in the CUNY Finals was absolutely, not there. He missed a lot of layups. He wasn't really a force. He doesn't have a single rebound in this game yet, Mike. This is the Dolphins' leading rebounder. He's only 1 for 4 from the floor. And, Mike, if he touched the ball on offense eight or 9 times, I'd be shocked. He just didn't have the ball in his hands. They got to get him the ball a little bit more on the baseline in the interior. Same thing with Kevon Murphy. When Kevon gets that ball right on the side of the baseline underneath the basket, go up strong, get to the hoop. Don't backpedal into the paint. That's the one thing I think the Dolphins have to do. Defensively, I think they've been strong, Mike. Give Swarthmore credit. They've hit their threes. They've done a good job in that respect when they've been open. But the Dolphins, I think, have played really well on the perimeter with their defensive game.
And, the Dolphins led by Frankie Chatino. He's finished the season, Dave, with 254 assists, multiple triple-doubles here this season. In this first half, though, just 2 assists for Chatino, just 4 assists, Dave, for the Dolphins as a team.
Yeah, exactly. And, a lot of that simply because the Dolphins just haven't finished a lot, in the first half. You got to think about the fact that, they only have 4 assists, but they only have 11 field goals. So it's not like they've been draining a lot of shots. 7 of their 30 points have come via the free throw line. And, of course, they got an extra point via a three-pointer. But, 11 field goals, Mike, in this second half cannot and will not win you the game. The Dolphins have to just shoot a lot better in the second half.
And Dave, Swarthmore got off to a pretty hot start shooting, but they finished the half just 13 of 34, 38%. The Dolphins 11 of 30, 37%. The big difference, Dave, early in this first half, 9 of 12 from the line for Swarthmore, 7 of 15 for the Dolphins, 1 of 7 from the three-point line for the Dolphins, 4 of 12 for the Garnett.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the Dolphins are a three-point shooting team by nature, but they can definitely shoot the ball better from three-point range. We'll see if that turns around here in the second.
So we're underway here to start the second half as Wiley has the basketball with 18 seconds to shoot. Swarthmore going from right to left here in the second half as it's Walsh out by the three-point line, feeding it over to Liebrick. Now Wiley. Wiley looking to feed the ball inside. Good defense by the Dolphins as now they bounce the ball into Board. Board looking to use his size and strength against Baum, but he's able to lay it up and in, and that's just how Swarthmore started the first half, Dave.
I was going to say, it looks like a carbon copy of how they started. You know that they, too, want to penetrate the ball inside. They had success in the first half.
Chatino with the basketball now as he drives his way inside. His layup is up, no good. He was looking for the foul, no call. Bracic knocks the ball away, but it's Swarthmore coming away with the basketball, feeding it in the corner for the open three, and just like that, Dave, a 5-0 run for Swarthmore to make it a 14-point game.
Yeah, and again, the Dolphins, that time a block here.
As Washington's shot is blocked, and he's able to lay it up and in and get his first basket of the game, David. Dolphins started the first half slowly, A 5-0 run by Swarthmore to start the second half. Nice play by Rossiter to get the Dolphins on the board.
Yeah, and a good second chance opportunity after his first shot was blocked.
Now they feed the ball inside to Walsh. Walsh looking to work his way against Murphy. Now they feed the ball in the corner now to Yanda. Yanda back to Walsh. Walsh's layup is up, no good. And, a lot of pounding, Dave, going inside by Murphy against the taller Walsh. And, all 3 times the foul has been called. It's been called on Murphy every time.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, Walsh is going to continue to pound, and I'm surprised that Swarthmore didn't do a lot more of this in the first half because they were having success very early. Now they'll try to make it count via the free throw line where Walsh is equally a very strong player.
He's now 4 of 4 from the line, Dave, and the Garnett now 10 of 13. And they open their lead back to 13 as that second free throw is up, no good. And the rebound grabbed by Rossiter, getting the ball out over to Schettino. Schettino working his way inside, now kicks it up over to Baum. Now it'll come back up over to Schettino. Now Baum, his jumper from the baseline is up, no good. He's now 1 of 5 from the field, and now Wiley will pick up the foul in the backcourt as Schettino draws the foul. So, once again, Dave, the Dolphins coming out very sluggishly to start the half.
And again, it's another 10-foot shot by Kalik Baum on the baseline. Again, and we've seen him hit those shots, but that is not the high percentage shooting that CSI is used to from Kalik Baum. There's a reason why he shoots over 50%, Mike, and it's because he's used to playing in the paint, not shooting 10, 12-footers.
Yeah, a nice job by Swarthmore, really using their superior size against the Dolphins. As that time, it's Yoda able to drive and lay it up and in. And, just like the first half, Dave, Dolphins come out very slow. They've already given up 8 points in 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah, it was a 12-2 run to start the first half. It's now an 8-2 run to start the second.
As Baum is able to bank that shot up, and it's no good once again. He's now 1 of 6 from the field. And the Dolphins now trail by 15, 47 to 32.
It's a dangerous trip up the floor.
As that's going to end up with a turnover here. And now Schettino looking to work his way 1 on 3, and he lays it up and in.
Yeah, Schettino taking matters into his own hands, Mike. He had to do that in the early stages of the first, now here in the second.
So Schettino now with 16 of the 34 Dolphin points as they trail 47-34, 3 minutes in to the second half. As Walsh just able to catch it and lay it up and in, Dave, as the Dolphins just showing no interior defense on that play.
Nice job by Schettino, once again, taking matters into his own hands. Mike converts and the foul. So Schettino looking to give his team a spark here.
Yeah, he's been by far, Dave, the most effective offensive player here for the Dolphins. And, the Dolphins love when Schettino's scoring, but for them to get they're going to need much more production inside.
Yeah, and the bottom line is I think Swarthmore's doing CSI a huge favor. Robbie Walsh just came out of the game. He has just been tearing up this Dolphins defense, and now he's on the bench. Only 3 minutes played here in the second. Dolphins need to take advantage of that.
As Schettino's free throw is up and in, and the Dolphins now have cut the deficit down to 12, 49-37. They've trailed by as many as 16. They've cut it down to 8, Dave, but that's really as close as they've been able to come.
Yeah, they need a couple of perimeter stops now, and for Swarthmore, we'll see if they continue to try and pound it inside like they've been doing here in the second.
As now it's Wiley out by the three-point line. 10 seconds to shoot now for the Garnett as they feed it to Wiley. Wiley works the ball inside to Schaefer. The shot's knocked away beautifully, and now it's Schettino for the Dolphins.
Chance for the Dolphins here to really get back some momentum.
Schettino looking to drive the ball inside. That shot is up, no good, but stepping on the end line will be the Garnett, and it will be Dolphin basketball as Schettino looked to drive that one down the lane, and the Dolphins will have a second chance opportunity.
Yeah, you just wonder if, some of these Dolphins players, who wants the ball? Who wants the ball in their hands here? We know Schettino is really taking matters into his own hands. Really the only real Dolphin kind of moving and penetrating the paint. See who could step up here for the Dolphins alongside Frank Schettino.
Yeah, and you mentioned, Dave, Robbie Walsh taken out of the game, Dave. He's 4 of 5 from the field and 4 of 5 from the line. And, He also has 6 rebounds for the Garnett. So as far as the Dolphins are concerned, he can stay on the bench as long as he wants. As Chatino turns the ball over, and the Garnett work the ball inside and lay it up and in.
Yeah, that time Chatino not in harmony with Jade Spencer, who he's looking to dish to. Dolphins turn it over.
Chatino drives inside. He looked like he was clearly pushed in the back, and he was, and he'll draw the foul.
Yeah, and that's a non-shooting foul because he was trying to dish to Chatino. It looks like we're going to have a official timeout on the floor, none too soon for the Dolphins. That was a really quick 4 minutes, Mike, in the second half, and for the most part it was all Swarthmore. 12 points in those 4 minutes, the Dolphins with 7, and really the Dolphins, Mike, when they've gotten back in this game, it's been because of their defense, especially their perimeter defense. The points have come too easy here to start the second half for Swarthmore.
Yeah, and Dave, it's like a carbon copy of the first half where the Dolphins gave up a lot of points early in the half, fell behind, tried to battle their way back, and they've been able to battle their way back as close as 8, Dave, but really haven't been able to turn up the pressure and make Swarthmore handle the basketball under pressure situations.
Yeah, absolutely, and you got to give credit to Swarthmore too, because they've been distributing the ball a lot quicker too. They haven't been as methodical on the arc and on the perimeter as we saw in the first half. It's been a lot of catch and pass, a lot of catch and shoot for Swarthmore, and you know that's what their coaches probably told them in the at the halftime break, to say, look, we got to speed up our offense as well, move the ball, don't give Staten Island a chance to guard you so closely on the perimeter, move the ball around, get yourself some space.
So now it's going to be the Dolphins to inbound the basketball with a fresh 30-second shot clock, trailing by a score of 51-37. Dolphins work the ball around the perimeter now as it's Chatino out by the three-point line. Chatino driving his way inside. That shot is up, no good. As Dolphins looking for the foul and, really need to get more shots in rhythm, Dave, here in the second half.
Again, they haven't been able to work their half-court offense. It's been a lot of running and slashing by Chatino.
As then feeding the ball wide open inside. Odell misses the layup. Dolphins get a break as now it's Chatino.
Yeah,
now over for the open three-pointer. That ball's not going to even be close. Dolphins tip the ball around, and it's going to come down into the hands of Schaefer for the Garnett.
For Odell on that last one, I don't know if he wanted to dunk it or lay it up. He kind of got twisted up in the air and missed his dunk opportunity, and Dolphins got an air ball the other way.
Yoda out by the three-point line. Now it's Liebrick. Back to Yoda. His open three-pointer is no good. Chatino there to grab the rebound as the Dolphins look to run, but getting back on the play is going to be the Garnett, as Chatino will draw the foul. And I believe it's going to be a non-shooting foul, Dave, so the Dolphins will get to inbound the ball underneath their basket with a fresh 30-second clock, Dave. But just like the first half, the Dolphins struggling offensively here in the start of the second half.
Yeah, and right now it's just been Frank Chatino running the offense. There really hasn't been any sort of offense by any of the other players on the court. Dolphins need to move it around, get their teams in some open space.
Yeah, the Dolphins really, Dave, have never gotten into the flow of the game here tonight and really have never made the Garnett play under pressure as Chatino throws up an air ball, and the rebound's going to be grabbed by the Garnett as the Dolphins' offensive struggles continue here in the second half. Wiley with the basketball out by the three-point line. He feeds it as they work the ball now inside as it's Bourne looking to shoot the ball up, and boy, it looks like Bourne just crashed directly into Spencer, and Spencer gets called for the foul.
Yeah, I don't really like that call at all. Spencer has established position. He's right underneath the basket. He's got his hand straight up in the air and warrants the foul there, but unfortunate play as Jade Spencer, a very, very good defensive player. And, Tony Petoza, when you ask him, Mike, about Jade Spencer, his numbers will not wow you at all. But he thinks that Jade Spencer is going to be one of the best players to ever play at CSI 2 or 3 years from now. He could be a true stud, he said. He's going to be really, really good player. It's hard to, sometimes we put a lot of pressure on these kids, but they're coming right out of high school, adjusting to the college game, and Jade Spencer is going to be one of the good ones.
So Bourne hits 1 of 2 free throws, and the Garnett have opened the lead back up to 15. Dolphins trailed at 9 at the half, so Garnett doing a nice job coming out here in the second half and opening the lead back up to 15.
Remember, in the first half, the Dolphins only scored 8 points in the first 8 minutes. They only have 7 here in the first 6.5.
And DeCunto back into the game for the Dolphins. He's playing a lot of minutes, Dave, for the Dolphins. He played 16 minutes, Dave, in that first half. As Shatino draws the foul and will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, Shatino again generating offense by getting into the paint. You know, Kevon Murphy's back in the game. Stephen Flagg, very athletic, back in the game. Those are the offensive catalysts for the Dolphins, but few touches for them and not a lot of activity in the paint for anyone other than Frank Shatino tonight.
13.
And Mike, he's only 5'10".
Yeah, 13:53 remaining here in this second half. The Dolphins trailing by a score of 52-37. They've never led in this game here tonight, getting off to a slow start. As Shatino hits the first, he'll have one more upcoming as the Dolphins now trail 52-38.
Yeah, now the Garnett, you could see there how they stack up, you know, guarding this free throw, but they are big right now. They have 4 big guys in the game, along with Wiley.
As Shatino's second free throw is up, no good. And, you know, once again, Dave, Dolphins trailing by double digits and continuing to miss some free throws.
Yeah, they've left a lot of points there at the free throw line.
As the ball getting worked around now, out by the three-point line now as it's Lammers with the basketball. Lammers picks up his dribble, bounce pass goes out over to Odell. Odell working the ball over to Walsh. He's back in the game as that long three-pointer is up, no good. Dolphins can't grab the rebound as the ball is fed inside to Walsh, and he lays it up and in. And Dave, the Dolphins have had no answer for Robbie Walsh here tonight.
Yeah, and that's just an unfortunate rebound. It's an air ball that landed right in Walsh's hands.
Yeah, Shatino misses that shot, and you know, Dave, the Dolphins' struggles shooting continue here in the second half.
Yeah, it's been a very unfortunate turn of events for the Dolphins' offense, who they were playing so well offensively, but really just haven't gotten anybody into the game offensively.
As the ball comes out over to Flagg. Now Flagg 0 for 1 on his one shot here of the night. He gets the ball out over to DeCunto. DeCunto now, it's Shatino with the basketball. Shatino drives his way inside, misses another layup.
It's a walk.
And the ball's going to be knocked out of bounds, but it will remain Dolphin basketball.
Yeah, Dolphins perhaps fortunate to get it back, but that time Swarthmore kind of falling on the ball, and then kind of Henry Cousino saw it slip out of bounds, but should have been probably guilty of a travel as he went down with the ball in hand. But again, Mike, Frank Shatino got through the perimeter defense, was able to get the shot off the glass, but too strong.
Dolphins just 3 of 14 shooting here in the second half, Dave. The Garnett 6 of 11, and they've been able to use that to extend their lead and make it match their biggest lead of the game, 16 points with 12 minutes and 37 seconds remaining here in the second half. Shatino with the basketball. Shatino looking to work his way inside, and that shot's going to be knocked away as Shatino doing a nice job to draw the turnover here, but like the rest of the Dolphins, Dave, Frank struggling with his shooting here in the second half.
Yeah, and right now I'm surprised that the Dolphins just haven't really gotten anything together offensively. I mean, this just looks like Frank Shatino just consistently trying to penetrate inside to get something done, but who wants the ball? Who's calling for the ball? I don't see anybody really on the Dolphins team asking for the ball in their hands. Here's Shatino. Let's see what the other 4 players on the Dolphins team are doing.
Shatino works the ball in the corner to DeCunto. His long three-pointer is up, no good. And, you know, Shatino's 2 of 10 here in the second half shooting, Dave.
Yeah, it's just too many shots. But, again, he's trying to get something done. He's trying to get a spark on this team offensively.
As driving the ball to the basket and laying it up and in is Odell, and it's an 18-point game. And, you know, Dave, if the Dolphins are going to come back, they need to start right now. And a good start as Murphy lays it up and in.
Yeah, and that time Shatino cuts in and sees Murphy there ready and waiting and is able to dish off for an easy layup.
That's Kavon's third basket of the game. Is that time a nice defensive play by the Dolphins, but they're unable to come away with the rebound. Is now the third chance opportunity, ends up with a three-pointer for the Garnett.
Yeah, and they've made a couple of really big shots, and that time, Mike, 2 offensive rebounds leads to the second chance and third chance point.
Yeah, the biggest lead of the game now for the Garnett as they lead by 19 as DeCunto feeds the ball inside to Spencer. That shot's not even close, and we're going to have a whistle and an offensive foul called on the Dolphins. It'll be a loose ball foul called on Kavon Murphy. He doesn't like to call. I thought the call would be on Spencer, if on anybody. Instead, Murphy's going to pick up his 4th foul. And, you know, Dave, this whole second half has been a struggle for the Dolphins. They've given up 20 points in less than 9 minutes, scoring only 10 of their own, and they nailed trail by a game-high 19 points.
Yeah, the bottom line is that the Dolphins needed points going into the second half. They've only scored 10 here in the first 9 minutes of the second half, and that's just what this game has been about, Mike. The Dolphins have 40 points in this game, and only 17 of them have come in the first 10 minutes of each half. So not enough scoring. Their defense has been trying, and now, Mike, we're starting to see the first signs of fatigue from the Dolphins. A lot of easy offensive rebounds coming now for Swarthmore, and that's because the Dolphins starters have just been in the game just too long, while Swarthmore is able to kind of shuffle players in and out. You know, if the Dolphins, if Swarthmore holds on and wins and the Dolphins end up losing this one, the sad part of it, Mike, is that the Dolphins didn't even come close to playing good basketball tonight, or at least their best basketball, what their potential was coming in. Because right now they have played 29 minutes, and, you know, I'm just shocked. I mean, this is just not CSI basketball. It's not the way we've been used to seeing this team play defensively or offensively, as Christian Taylor returns back in the game for the Dolphins.
Yeah, now the Garnett 6 of 16 from the three-point line, Dave. The Dolphins just 1 of 10 really have been able to do nothing effectively here so far in this second half. Wiley with the basketball. Wiley out by the three-point line. Chatino looks to pick him up. Kavon Murphy now on the bench with 4 personal fouls. Lammers with the basketball. Now it's Wiley. Wiley working it over to Odell. Odell back to Wiley is now the Garnett looking to work a little shot clock down. Wiley's floater in the lane is up and in, and now the Dolphins trail by 21, Dave, and in danger of falling out of this game.
Yeah, well, they basically need points now. Just about every trip down the floor, they need some type of offense to get together. They have to, you know, they have to finish this game, Mike, you know, on a 25-5 run or something like that, just a tie. And that's just going to be too much of a tall order, I think, for the Dolphins here.
Yeah, as Khalid Baum is going to pick up his first foul, Dave, 35 feet from the basket, as the Dolphins pick up their 15th foul, and now it's the Garnett with the basketball. And, you know, Dave, the way that this team can shoot threes, you know, they're almost in a position where they can start running the shot clock down, try to feed it inside, kick it out, as that should clearly be a blocking foul on the Garnett. Instead, it's going to be an offensive foul. And, you know, Dave, the Dolphins are trailing by 21, but that's still a terrible call.
It's a bad call, Mike, and the call comes 5 or 6 seconds after the play. I mean, I don't understand that at all. I mean, if it's a charge, you blow the whistle and you call it immediately. You don't wait for the ball to go in. You don't wait for players to kind of flail around and pretend that they've just gotten hit. You know, the official blows the whistle. If it's a charge, you call a charge immediately.
As Khalid Baum picks up his second personal foul in the last minute or so. And, you know, again, the Dolphins just not able to get a break here tonight, Dave, but, you know, really not doing enough to get the breaks.
And, Mike, you know, maybe we should take it back, because that foul wasn't on Christian Taylor. It was on Khalid Baum away from the play. So the play itself, Christian Taylor going in and hitting the shot, that was not what was called. It was maybe on the screen leading up to that play.
As now the ball is going to get fed inside to Bourne. Bourne swinging his arms around, kicking the ball out to a wide-open Wiley, whose three-pointer could have closed the door, Dave. Instead, he misses, and now Chatino's pass is going to be stolen away once again as they feed the ball inside to Wiley. His shot is going to be blocked, but the Dolphins will end up with a foul being called on the play.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating night, Mike, for this Dolphins team. It looks like Swarthmore has done enough to advance to the second round, the round of 32, because the Dolphins just offensively just have not been able to get anything going. I mean, it's Frank Schettino has tried in the first half early. He was hitting the holes, trying to manufacture offense, second half as well. But Mike, the Dolphins just didn't have any weapons offensively in this game. We got 9 minutes to go, plenty of time, but the Dolphins are just stuck on 40. They've scored 10 points here in 10 minutes and 20 seconds. And at this rate, I mean, I don't even know if they could score 20 more points the way they've been distributing offensively.
Yeah, they've really struggled here tonight. They've never really gotten into the flow of the offense. And, Dave, this is a team that's been able to, move the ball and play well with some good, strong interior passing. But you got to give Swarthmore a lot of credit, Dave. They've really just given the Dolphins no space on the inside.
Yeah, the lanes have been occupied. There's a lot of big bodies, interrupting the passing lanes. Perimeter defense, as you can see, with Vinny DeCunto trying to handle. It's been tough.
Schettino now kicking the ball out to Bracic. His long three-pointer is no good. The Dolphins now 1 of 11 from the three-point line.
Yeah, and that's just not typical of the Dolphins. Edin Bracic, an offer from beyond the arc tonight. He'll be back next year for the Dolphins, and he'll remember this outing. And we'll see if the Dolphins get back here, if he can do a better job next year.
As they feed the ball inside to Walsh, Dave, I think he's missed one shot all night long, as the Dolphins getting blown out now here in the second half.
Yeah, and I kind of wondered late in the first half why Swarthmore wasn't going inside more.
As Bracic hits his first three-pointer of the afternoon, and that makes it a 65-43 game.
That's got to feel really good for Edin to make that first one. He's going to need a few more of those here in the last 8.5 minutes of this game.
So now the long three-pointer by Liebrick is up and in, and Liebrick's hitting his last 2 3-pointers, Dave, to just drive the stake through the heart of the Dolphins.
Yeah, absolutely. It has a hard luck miss by Schettino.
Yeah, and that time the ball knocked around, and Liebrick is going to come away with the basketball. He now works the ball in the corner to Yoda. Now Yoda standing there for a wide-open three-pointer. That's up, no good. And this time Spencer able to come away with the basketball for the Dolphins. Inside of 8 minutes remaining here in the second half, as Schettino's shot is going to be up, no good, but he'll draw a foul on the outside first before the shot. And that will give the Dolphins the ball out underneath their own basket. Under 8 minutes remaining, all Swarthmore here in the second half.
Yeah, that's exactly true, Mike. Swarthmore scored 39 in the first half. They're up to 29 here in the second. And they appear to be on their way, up by a bunch, 68-43.
And Dave, this is a game that the Dolphins had come into winning their last 15 in a row. They hadn't suffered a loss since back on December 29th against Middlebury, but really never came out and really never got into a groove here tonight.
No, I felt like from the first tip, Mike, the Dolphins just looked like a very uncomfortable team. Just a team that wasn't loose, wasn't ready to play its style of basketball. They struggled to manufacture offense. Khalid Baum, I think if he touched the ball, 11, 12 times offensively tonight, that's probably a lot. And really, Mike, and again, you don't want to be super critical of Khalid and Kavan because they've been just two tremendous players all year, but they just haven't been a factor in tonight's game. And not even so much with their scoring and their rebounding, but more about just their presence, about making sure that they're drawing defenders near them. They haven't done that tonight. Swarthmore has just taken those two big guys out of the picture, and Frank Schettino has been his typical self. He's not going to be able to put up 40 points every single game. He's trying his best to manufacture offense.
Yeah, Schettino's shot is up, no good. The putback is going to be up and in, and the foul as Spencer lays it up and in. And Dave, Khalid Baum just 3 points here tonight for the Dolphins. Kavan Murphy with just 6 points, just 1 rebound for Khalid Baum. Kevon Murphy just 3 rebounds, and these are players that the Dolphins are really counting on for scoring and points. And then a couple of players who played very well down the stretch for the Dolphins, Eden Bracic and Robert Rossiter. Rossiter finishing with just 1 basket here so far this afternoon, and Bracic just 3 of 8 from the field and just 1 of 5 from the 3-point line. And that one was his last 3-point attempt, Dave, after the game was pretty wide open.
Yeah, and the bottom line is that, it's not even so much, like I said, about rebounding and scoring. It's just about being enough of a presence to take the heat off of some of the other players and to allow your other players to get into open spaces.
As that open 3-pointer is going to be good as Swarthmore continues to hit their 3-point shots and open their lead back up to 25 again. And, Dave, this was a year that the Dolphins, who have won in the CUNYAC tournament and have gone to the Sweet 16 as recently as 2011, really were hoping to play much better here tonight and, really try to get a win not only for the Dolphins but for the conference itself. And, unfortunately, not the effort they were looking to come out with here tonight.
No, and again, I think that the real shame of this game is the fact that the Dolphins didn't play their best. If you play your best basketball and you lose, Mike, whether it's by 1 point or by 40 points, that's one of the things that you can look to and say, hey, we left our best basketball out there. We played as hard as we could. We were just not the better team. But the Dolphins are going to leave this court tonight thinking, man, we lost by a bunch, but we didn't play our best basketball. What would have happened if we played our best basketball? They'll always wonder that, Mike. That's the thing, and you can never get that back. You can never, you can never get that scenario back. So again, it's something that the thing that you have to do is be able to learn from it and remember it for the next time, and we'll see if the Dolphins can do that.
Yeah, and Dave, we mentioned Khalid Baum coming in, averaging nearly 14 points a game. Kevon Murphy averaging 14, and that's going to be the second basket for Khalid Baum, and he's got just 5 points. And Dave, for Frankie Scittino, Khalid Baum, and Vinny DeCunto, this is their final game, and they won't have an opportunity to learn from this. And the way Scittino played this year, finishing as the all-time assist leader for the CSI Dolphins, finishing as one of the top players in assists in the country, certainly not the way he wanted to go out.
No, without a doubt. But you know what? One of the things you could say is that Frank Scittino played his hardest in this game. There's no question about it. He was trying to set up the offense. He's played well defensively. I think Vinny DeCunto has played tremendous defensively. He's not in the game now because the Dolphins just need points and need a bunch of them.
So it's the Garnett with the basketball, and the Dolphins now trailing 73-48 as they get the turnover and look to feed it ahead to Scittino. And here in the second half, Dave, after the Dolphins went ahead, is Khalid Baum able to lay it up and in and draw the foul, but it's probably going to be a little bit too late. The women's basketball season coming to an end here tonight, Dave, and the Dolphins 5 minutes and 26 seconds away, trailing by a score of 73-50.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? There are some silver linings to this season for sure. For the CSI women, they win their first CUNY championship since 2005. They went 12 years without one. Nice to finally get that monkey off their back. And for the CSI men, Mike, there are a lot of people who came into this season saying it's a rebuilding year. They graduated their 2-time Player of the Year in Will Fonseca, one of their all-time leading scorers. They only had one 4-year senior in Frank Scittino. So, of course, you win 12, 13 games, you try to make noise in the championship, all is good. But the Dolphins were able to do a lot more than that this season, Mike. And there's 5 minutes left in this game. The Dolphins will never say die. They're down by a bunch of points. But I think, Mike, when it's all said and done, this loss is going to sting a little bit. But I think when they have a chance, when the Dolphins reflect on this season, there's a lot of good things that they could take away from it.
So it's the Garnett with the basketball as it's Wiley laying it up and in as the Garnett now have their biggest lead of the game. It's 77-51 as the Dolphins not really coming out. And, they've really never played the kind of defense that they needed as well. And, they clearly struggled all night offensively, but they just couldn't fight off the much bigger, stronger Swarthmore team here tonight.
Yeah, and I think Swarthmore also, Mike, did a really good job of basically redefining their offense when they needed to. When CSI was playing well defensively on the perimeter, they banged that ball inside. They forced the Dolphins to play big on the interior. When the Dolphins were putting 2 and 3 players down low, you've seen them, Swarthmore, find open looks on their perimeter. So they've done enough to move things around and switch their offensive mentality up.
And Christian Taylor out on the floor here for the Dolphins for the final 4 minutes, as we're going to have a foul called on the Dolphins, and Frankie Schettino on the bench for the Dolphins. And, if this is where Schettino's career ends, Dave, it's certainly been an incredible career for Frankie Schettino.
Oh, without question, Mike. I talked to him at length on Wednesday, and he said, he never could have imagined as a freshman that he would even be on the court as much as he's been. But he's been a freshman since his freshman year, and basically he's had a tremendous career. There's nothing he should be ashamed of at all. And really, Mike, this season especially, whether you like the way he plays the game, Mike, or you don't, whether you like, what he does when he penetrates on the inside or not, he's a warrior. He's a guy who's not afraid at 5'10" and 100 and nothing to take on and battle bigger kids his size, more experienced players. Frank is that warrior, and if you had 5 of them on the court at one time, it's hard to deny anything. Nice moment there between Tony and Frank, as Frank says, "Put me in the game, coach. Let me ride it out." And I think the Dolphins have a gem, and Mike, I think 5 years from now, I'll be seeing Frank again at the CSI Hall of Fame and inducting him in.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Dave. As the Dolphins come out on the floor, Schettino remains on the bench. Taylor, DeCunto, Flagg, Spencer, and Baum on the floor for the Dolphins. And, Dave came out this year, really didn't know what to expect for the Dolphins. Another 20-plus win season for the Dolphins. Another CUNYAC championship. 15 games in a row, so many positives. You can't take it away with one loss in the NCAA tournament out on the road.
Well, Mike, I'll go back all the way to the beginning of the season. When the preseason, I had a sit down with Tony Petozzi. We were talking about his season preview. And I said, Tony, at the end of this season, what would make you happy? How do you gauge that this season was successful in your eyes? And he said, you know what, Dave, I'm not going to know the answer to that question until the end of next year, because this year is the year we're using to build our team for next year. So at the end of next year, meaning next year coming up, I'll truly know how good this team was based on how next year's team does. So, Mike, when you think about it that way, when you look at it that way, that this team is playing for really successes of next year, then, man, what a start this team is off to. I mean, 22 wins, an appearance here in the NCAA championship, and this was supposed to be just a precursor for what the team has in store next year. I think the Dolphins are in pretty good shape.
Yeah, Dave, it kind of takes you back to the 2010-2011 season, and how the Dolphins built it up and got their first winning season going after struggling for a few years, introduced Jordan Young to the team and got some other players, and before you knew it, they rounded it back into form. And you know what, there are some spots on the CSI team and some minutes to be filled, and that head coach Tony Petozzi will be out there and looking for those plays to fill it. And now there's an opportunity for some of these younger players to really step up and develop their roles as some of the seniors graduate here at the end of the year.
Yeah, now I'm looking at some of the players on the CSI bench. Guys like Darryl Bryant, Zaquan Charles, Vondrus Lennon, guys who, got themselves a few minutes here and there, but that baton is going to be passed. So now it's going to be, almost their team next year. And we'll see. All this time on the bench, all this time soaking up what's been going on the floor, how does it benefit you for next year? So I'm excited to see guys like Vondrus Lennon next year, Jade Spencer next year. What did 29 games of being out there, watching this team 40 minutes a game, being educated by a great coaching staff and playing under some great players, what has that taught you? What does that give me for next year? And that's an exciting scenario if you're a Dolphins fan.
And, Dave, the Dolphins went on the road essentially to the Nat Holman Gymnasium and were able to defeat the CCNY Beavers on their home floor, but could not duplicate that feat tonight, traveling down to Swarthmore, Pennsylvania to play Swarthmore. They made their first ever NCAA tournament appearance, Dave, but really came out and did a nice job playing with confidence, playing in front of their home fans, and really giving them a nice show here tonight, and really a very positive entertainment for the Garnet.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, this is a good crowd. They get behind their Garnet. They're riding a great season. Mike, they're going to have to come back tomorrow and play a very, very good Christopher Newport team, which demolished Morrisville State. So a couple of big first-round winners are going to be battling tomorrow night. I'm not going to be here to watch it, Mike, but I'm definitely going to have the live stream going up in my house watching that game because it's going to be a good one. We've been talking a lot about CSI, Mike, but for any of the Swarthmore fans who might be joining us or anybody tuning in, let's not take anything away from who the Garnet are and what they've done here tonight. They've played exceptional, and they've been a great team all year. They deserve this NCAA berth, their Centennial Conference Championship, and a victory march into the second round.
And Stephen Flagg, a player who's really picked up his game offensively for the Dolphins, buries the three-pointer as we're now within 2.5 minutes remaining. And, Dave, the one thing about this athletic season is it never stops. The men's volleyball team will continue their play. And, we were actually scheduled to broadcast a softball doubleheader this Sunday. That's been postponed, but the men's baseball team is down in South Carolina. The women will be going down to Florida for their preseason tournament. And you know what, Dave? We'll be right back with softball and baseball action, and two very good-looking teams there for the Dolphins as well.
Absolutely, Mike. This spring semester has always been very kind for CSI baseball and softball. And Mike, men's tennis plays Wagner College tomorrow, and they are expecting a very good team. Very, very, very young team. As you see, Frank Schettino coming off for the Dolphins for the very last time. Tremendous job by Frank Schettino all year long.
Dave, it's hard to believe how quickly time goes by, but you go back and you remember like the first time we saw a player like Jordan Young, a young freshman coming in and, still developing into the great player that he was ultimately able to become. And, now you have a player like Frankie Schettino, Dave, and, boy, oh boy, how quickly did the 4 years go?
They go quick, Mike, and we've been here for a lot of recruiting cycles now, me and you, and, we've seen so many boys come into this program and they leave as men. They become really good people in our community. They come back for alumni events. They enjoy their time here, but we enjoy them. And I think for many of the people who are joining us and listening to us all night, and we've been critical at times of these kids, but the bottom line is they're our kids, Mike. We love them. We love watching them play, and it's the best part of our day when these guys are playing ball, and we're very proud of our Dolphins all year long, and the women's side as well. We know that they're joining us watching this game. Can't even begin to tell everybody just how proud we are of our Dolphins teams here and how proud we are to represent the College of Staten Island.
And, Dave, this is a CSI Dolphin team that has not had a losing season in 7 years. In their last 6 years, they're 135-37. 98 games over 500, Dave, coming into the game here tonight, winning at nearly 79% on the year. And in the last 6 years, Dave, 3 CUNYAC championships and 2 ECAC championships. So a disappointing loss for the Dolphins here tonight, but the program has been on an upswing for the last 6 years, and we expect more of that in the future.
Yeah, and again, we've been spoiled, Mike. We're a spoiled bunch at the College of Staten Island. We don't get a lot of rebuilding seasons. We don't get a lot of, ground zero teams where we're starting out really with just 1 and 2 wins and working our way up. I mean, gosh, you can count those on one hand, the 20 years that I've been here. And so we're very spoiled. Forget about NCAA basketball. The NCAA Division III, it's almost unheard of to have this much success year in and year out. But CSI women's team, yeah, it's been 12 years since a championship, but every year we're treated to great basketball. And for the men with 30 seconds to go in their season. Ditto for them.
So that jumper is up, no good. The rebound is grabbed by Darryl Bryan, who's checked into the game. And, Dave, Darryl came into the team in the middle of the season as that three-pointer by Savage is up and good. So a couple of the substitute players, Dave, getting an opportunity to play here in the NCAA tournament. And we count down the final 10 seconds as Swarthmore College will advance to the round of 32 as they defeat the College of Staten Island by a final score of 86-61. It was a game, Dave, that the Dolphins fell behind early, were able to get the game down within double digits on a couple of occasions, getting it down as low as 8, trailed by just 9 going in at halftime. But just like the first half, they struggled to score offensively in the second half. They could never come back, and the Swarthmore team goes on to win by a final score of 86-61.
Yeah, Mike, I said it before, I'll say it again. The only unfortunate thing about this game is that the Dolphins could probably come out thinking that they truly didn't play their best basketball. They're a better basketball team than this score suggests. You know what, Mike? The Dolphins could have played a great game tonight and still lost by 10 or 12 points. Swarthmore is that good. They've been that good all year. But the Dolphins didn't play a really good game. That's something they'll have to live with for a little while. But, Mike, time heals all wounds. There'll be a couple of days, and the Dolphins will get over this, and they'll be able to reflect on what was a really unique and great season, one that ended with a championship and another trip to nationals. And, Mike, again, this game is supposed to be a precursor for what's to come with the Dolphins. I think we're in pretty good hands.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Dave. As for the CSI Dolphins, they finish the second half shooting just 30% from the field, Dave. They finished shooting just 23 of 69. That's just 33%. Just 4 of 18 from the three-point line, Dave, but 3 out of those 4 three-pointers came after the game had long been decided. And then 11 of 20 from the free throw line, Dave. But, at the points of the game when the Dolphins needed to get those free throws, they just couldn't. And then as the game wore on, Dave, and Swarthmore was able to use their size, they end up dominating the Dolphins, rebounding just about the way they've done all season long, out-rebounding the Dolphins 52-35. And, you put all those things together, just too much Robbie Walsh, too much inside play, too much good shooting for Swarthmore, and they defeat the Dolphins by a final score of 86-61.
Yeah, so you know what, Mike? Again, a game that left a lot to be desired. The Dolphins were out-rebounded by 17. They were only out-rebounded by 5 at the break. Swarthmore came in the second half and really, dedicated themselves to really pounding it on the inside. That's where I think they really killed the Dolphins. They're a great three-point shooting team. They shot 9 three-pointers tonight on 24 shots. That's a pretty healthy percentage. But the bottom line is that's not what won them the game. What won them the game was their ability to pound it inside, to break up the Dolphins' perimeter defense, which was working for a long time in this game. And then in the second half, they got off to that big run. Dolphins just couldn't score. They couldn't generate any type of significant or consistent offense, and as a result, a lopsided final score. But nothing to be, to be shaken about. The Dolphins had a great season. They'll be back next year, looking to do it again.
Yeah, and, we look out onto the floor here as the Dolphins will conclude this 2016-17 with this loss of 86-61. So, a disappointing end to the season, Dave, but like you mentioned, still lots of spring sports remaining: tennis, men's volleyball, and, of course, women's softball, Dave. And, we're talking about a women's softball team that has been in the NCAA tournament, won a game in the tournament, and is certainly looking to bounce back and have an even bigger year in 2017.
Yeah, we'll bring it to you as soon as they get back from their Florida trip. We have plenty of baseball, softball for you. I have some men's volleyball sprinkled in for you. And, Mike, we're looking forward to it all.
So that's going to wrap things up here from Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, as the College of Staten Island sees their 15-game winning streak come to an end here in the opening round of the NCAA tournament as they drop this game by a final score of 86-61. So that's going to wrap things up here for this 2016-2017 men's basketball
Sorry, it wasn't
season.
the best result,
For
but,
David Pizzuto, for Michael Cohn, for Joe Foreman, for games. And